Hello, everyone. This is Mrs. Vialba, and this week I'm bringing you your SEL lesson on conflict resolution and dealing with and eliminating microaggressions. So I'm going to kind of keep in the back of your mind that microaggressions are kind of like the sound of a buzzing mosquito, one of those things you just kind of want to swat. So when we talk about microaggressions, we're focusing on the SEL competencies of self-awareness, social awareness, responsible decision-making, and relationship skills. We want to focus on treating others fairly and respectfully and being able to value other people's perspectives and have genuine concern for other people. Our target is to be able to describe and identify what microaggressions are and the message they send and how to stop using them. Can you think of a time when you may have said something you thought was a compliment, but it was actually hurtful to somebody else? Or maybe you have asked a question you thought was appropriate, but it really was not. Can you recall a time when you were surprised when someone reacted negatively to a comment or question you made? It is so important for us to think before we speak. No matter how well-intended our comments can be, with negative underlying messages, they're never okay. So let's watch a short video on what microaggressions are.
It is an ethos that is echoed in countless political speeches, works of literature, and films.
Sounds great, Diego.
Thank you.
You're so well spoken.
Thanks.
Where are your parents from again?
Guatemala. Why?
Because your English is so good.
My English is so good. I'm from here. I grew up speaking English and Spanish. Why don't people get that?
So microaggressions are brief and happen commonly in daily verbal and behavioral and environmental indignities, whether intentional or unintentional. They happen almost daily. They communicate to others very hostile and derogatory or negative racial innuendos and comments and insults that target a person or a group. So microaggressions are actually a type of bias. They are micro because they're small and often happen in private situations, yet their effect can have a massive and dangerous impact on other people. Over time, being on the receiving end of these everyday attacks can lead to depression, social isolation, and we begin to wonder if our own feelings and experiences are legitimate. Research shows that there's strong evidence that they lead to elevated levels of depression and trauma. And there's a correlation that was found between microaggressions and self-reported histories of heart attack, depressive symptoms, and even hospitalizations. So understanding the making and decision to stop using microaggressions is the work of the prefrontal cortex of the brain. The emotional response that is triggered by microaggressions is the result of the amygdala and hypothalamus part of the brain. So like I said before, microaggressions are like mosquito bites. They're annoying. Some people get bit more than others. They create unwelcoming environments. And we're going to look over the next few slides that'll help you realize how often microaggressions happen and whether or not you've heard some of these. So when somebody says like, no, where are you really from? Or, things happen for a reason, or wow, your English is so good. Or if somebody looks as if they were pregnant and you just automatically assume, asking somebody if you can touch their hair because it's different than yours. So some microaggressions have more of a direct impact on people's life than you can imagine, like assuming that because somebody is from a different ethnic background or looks a certain way that they're not smart and how could they go to college? I mean, that can be crushing somebody's dreams. So on these next few charts, there's several different examples and situations. When you look at it, it shows kind of the theme, the overall thought process, and then what the actual microaggression, what somebody might say, and then the real message that it's telling somebody. So when we look at some of those, take for example the very first one. I'm sure you've heard people say this a lot, where are you from, or where were you born, or wow, you speak really good English. You have no idea whether or not that person was born here. Just because they have a different heritage or background doesn't mean that they were not born here and weren't raised here. So again, this automatically tells somebody you're not American, you're a foreigner. When we look at other ones, like a situation that occurs when a white person is given preferential treatment over another person, when people associate groups of people and reference them as you people, again, you're telling people that they don't belong. When you look at even situations where you look at neighborhoods and there might be a big surplus of liquor stores and things like that in communities of color, you're telling people that you automatically assume that these are the type of people they are and they're not worthy of having clean neighborhoods and affluent neighborhoods. There's lots of other ones, and I'll kind of go through this slowly. You can always go back and look and kind of read through some of these, which I recommend, because you wouldn't believe how often microaggressions happen in our everyday lives. And then these are just some other ways how you can send offending messages even when you don't think about it. If you think you're being funny, it's not funny and it's hurting somebody else. So imagine being swarmed by mosquitoes every day of your life. You may not be aware, again, of the things you've said and that they are microaggressions or the impact that they have on others. When we take a closer look at microaggressions, we can start to feel like, gosh, I can't say anything right, or I'm not going to say anything because it's just too hard. Everything can be twisted around and be a microaggression. Well, that's not really true. Again, it's about accepting diversity and understanding that we're all different. So visualize a time when you have commented or made a comment or committed a microaggression in the past, and you may be tempted to use one again. You need to commit to not using it, squashing it, swatting it like a mosquito. What is one microaffirmation or a way you can turn it around so that you don't use it again? So some of the ways we can do that and actually make a microaffirm, which is a positive way to celebrate others and celebrate diversity. You can be empathetic and understanding of others. You can actively listen. You can affirm someone's emotions and their emotional reactions. You can recognize and value different experiences and help create safe places for people to trust you. And again, most importantly, build relationships with others. So this week, really try and take a look at some of the microaggressions that you maybe have made and squashing those out. So thank you for listening, and I hope you all have a great rest of your week.